Ava wanted to go home to her parents for the Lunar New Year. Train tickets were sold out and plane tickets were exorbitantly priced. Her husband, Ethan, a multi-millionaire, scoffed at the cost. Over $4,000 for one ticket? You spend your days lounging around with the kids, not earning a cent all year, and then you throw my money around. To prevent Ava from secretly buying a ticket, he confiscated her phone, wallet, and car keys, locking her in the house. Ava's parents, John and Mary, took a long-distance bus to come get her, but their bus crashed on the icy roads. Ava didn't learn of the accident and their subsequent deaths until much later. Rushing back for the funeral, she saw a photo posted by Ethan's assistant, Chloe, of a thick wad of cash. A $10,000 Lunar New Year gift from Ethan. Ava liked the post. On the way back from the cemetery, Ava realized Chloe had deleted the photo. Then Ethan, who had been unreachable, finally called. Ava, are you insane? Why did you add Chloe on social media? Are you spying on her? He raged. You even had to comment on her New Year's gift. She thought you were upset and came to me to explain. Apologize to her immediately. Or don't bother coming home. Bitterness welled up in Ava. This was Ethan's go-to threat whenever he was displeased. In the past, she would always immediately grovel and appease him. She loved him and didn't want him to be unhappy or to damage their relationship with arguments. Not to mention, they now had a lovely pair of twins. Thinking of her children, Olivia and Oliver, her fingers hovered over the words "Let's divorce" in the text box, hesitating. Just then, another voice message arrived. The background was noisy, voices distant, clearly an accidental pocket dial. Olivia and Oliver's voices faintly came through. Mom is so lazy. Chloe is so much better. Dad, buy her another sports car so she can take me for a ride. Don't mention that annoying woman. Look, Dad's so disgusted he can't even eat. The message cut off. Ava stared blankly at her phone until the driver spoke, jolting her back to reality. She put down the phone and noticed the message had been retracted. Staring at the screen, she started to laugh. The compassion she felt for her children just moments ago now felt like a cruel joke. After their marriage, Ethan forbade Ava from being absent during the Lunar New Year. You married into our family. You should celebrate the New Year here. So every year, John and Mary traveled to see her. This year, shortly after the little New Year, Mary told Ava that John had broken his leg and couldn't travel, urging her to come home. But the spring festival travel rush had already begun. Train tickets were sold out and plane ticket prices were soaring. The cheapest she could find was over $4,000. Ethan, however, swatted her hand away as she tried to book it. Over $4,000 for a ticket? You lounge around with the kids all day, you don't earn that much in a year, and all you do is spend my money. He scolded. You're married now, you should celebrate the holidays here. It's just 1 year. Are your parents going to die? He took her phone, wallet, and car keys, even locking her in the house before leaving. He didn't return with the kids, or her phone and wallet, until 2 days before the Lunar New Year. Ava then saw over 100 missed calls and countless messages, mostly from her sister Sarah. Opening the latest message, Ava felt Sarah's despair radiating through the screen. Ava, if you don't come back now, you won't see Mom and Dad again. After an overnight bus ride, Ava arrived at the funeral home. The sound of wailing filled the air. Seeing Ava, Sarah rushed up and slapped her, crying, Are you dead? You didn't answer your phone. You didn't reply to my texts. If it wasn't for trying to find you, Mom and Dad wouldn't have. Staggering closer, Ava saw the extent of her parents' injuries. Even after the mortician's work, their chests were misshapen, their limbs twisted. She remembered the first call from her mother after the accident. Was she calling for help? Or just to talk? Ava never got to speak to her again. She tried calling all of Ethan's numbers, but none of them connected. The children's smartwatches also went unanswered. After the burial, Sarah lashed out at Ava with their father's cane. If your husband is all you care about, then go back to him. Don't ever come back here. Ava endured the blows, knelt, and kowtowed to her parents before buying a ticket back to the city. She went straight to her college roommate Jessica. You're a prosecutor, you must know some lawyers, right? I want a divorce. Jessica stared at her for a long moment, making sure she wasn't joking. You love Ethan so much. Are you sure you won't regret this? Ava gave a bitter smile. Yes, she had loved him so much, even willingly sacrificing her career to stay home with the children. But now she finally understood, not every love is reciprocated. Returning home, she opened the door to find Chloe drawing with the twins. Ethan, who never did housework, emerged from the laundry room holding a freshly laundered pair of women's underwear. He said uncertainly to Chloe, "It's my first time washing these, I don't know if they're clean." Chloe smiled brightly. "Thank you, Ethan. You're so meticulous, they must be clean." Olivia and Oliver, clinging to Chloe's sides, chimed in. "Dad's so capable." They then pulled Chloe towards the door, eager to go out and play. Turning, they saw Ava standing in the doorway. Their expressions instantly turned cold, as if blaming her for her sudden appearance. Olivia rolled her eyes and turned away. Oliver muttered, "Gold digger. Why are you back? Ruining everyone's fun during the new year." Chloe, with a saccharine smile and the air of a hostess, greeted Ava. "Ava, you're back. Oh, you weren't home these past few days. Ethan and the kids were so bored, so I came over to keep them company." In the past, Ava would have been furious. Their house had a home theater, a playroom, a miniature amusement park. How could they be bored? But now she simply nodded and said sincerely, "Thank you. I appreciate it." Ethan frowned and strode over, protectively pushing Ava aside to stand in front of Chloe. "What do you mean? You disappeared for days without a word. If it wasn't for Chloe, the kids and I wouldn't have enjoyed the new year at all." Ava smiled at Chloe. "Then let the capable one carry on. You should celebrate the new year with them from now on too." She went to pack her bags. Opening the bedroom door, she froze. The women's pajamas on the bed weren't hers. Ethan, following behind, offered a flimsy excuse. "Chloe borrowed the bathroom. It's because you weren't here. The sheets got dirty and no one changed them." He grew bolder. "So what if your parents had an accident? Did you have to abandon your husband and children? Such a small matter, and you're so distraught. Look at Chloe, always so positive." Seeing Ava packing, he stepped on her suitcase. "Are you deaf? Are you running away from home? Fine, you still haven't apologized to Chloe for spying on her. Do that before you mess with your junk." He assumed Ava's parents were fine because she had returned so quickly. She thought his dismissive tone would break her heart. But after feeling her heart die, she felt invincible. Looking at Chloe, who had followed them, Ava said calmly, "I'm sorry, Chloe." Chloe, barely suppressing her smugness, gave a small smile. "It's okay, Ava. I understand. Oh, by the way, you haven't had any dumplings for the new year, have you?" She went to the kitchen and brought back a plate of dumplings. As she walked, a car key fell out of her pocket. A luxury brand easily worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Enough to charter a flight to see her parents. "Ethan specially made my favorite sea urchin filling. Ava, you're from the countryside, you probably haven't tried it before. Try some." The crumbling dumplings, left over from New Year's Eve, had gone bad and smelled rancid. Food that belonged in the trash now offered to her. As if to remind her, "You're just a gold digger, you only deserve garbage." The pain in her chest made it difficult to speak. "Thank you, I don't eat seafood." The next second, a handful of foul-smelling dumplings hit her. Oliver yelled, "Chloe was nice enough to bring you dumplings and you won't even eat them." Olivia, silent, threw a few more at Ava's head. Ethan wouldn't allow nannies or housekeepers, claiming they would mistreat the children. So, Ava resigned from her soon-to-be promoted job and raised the twins from infancy until they started kindergarten. Born prematurely, they were both frail and had allergies. The hypoallergenic formula was expensive, but Ethan accused her of lying, trying to pocket the extra money. Only after the children were hospitalized for an allergic reaction did he believe her, only to complain about her bad genes. Before the children turned one, Ava slept only 2 or 3 hours a night, constantly holding and comforting them. She developed migraines and arthritis, consuming countless painkillers. Whenever one child fell ill, both would succumb, and Ava wouldn't rest, monitoring them around the clock. Yet Ethan would constantly tell the children in front of her that she was lazy and didn't care for them properly. Over time, the children also believed she was a money-grubbing, pleasure-seeking leech. She had hoped they would learn to distinguish right from wrong as they grew older. Now it seemed they were just like Ethan, selfish. Now Chloe rushed over, feigning concern. "Oh no. Ava, are you okay? It's my fault, I didn't stop them. If you don't like them, you don't have to eat them. Ethan also made me some soup. You can have some later." She grabbed Ava's arm, her face full of concern and care. But something sharp in her hand pierced Ava's skin. Ava cried out in pain and pulled away, sending Chloe tumbling to the floor. A slap landed on Ava's face, followed by another plate of rancid dumplings. Ethan shrieked, "Ava, have you no shame? Chloe was being nice to you and you attack her." The stench intensified Ava's dizziness. She clutched her throat, gasping for air, staggering forward for support. A foot tripped her, sending her crashing to the floor. A barrage of tiny fists and feet rained down on her. "Gold digger. You hurt Chloe. Why don't you just die?" A small hand scooped up some of the discarded dumplings and pressed them against her mouth. "Eat. Chloe brought them for you. Don't waste them." Chloe feigned concern. "Kids, stop hitting her." "I'm okay. Oh, Ethan, my arm. I think it's dislocated." "Okay. You're always so considerate, but you don't need to be kind to someone like her. That woman doesn't know what's good for her. Leave her. Let's go to the hospital." A flurry of footsteps followed, someone trying to kick Ava out of the way. Ethan's cold voice echoed, "If anything happens to Chloe, you'll pay for it." Ava groaned and heard Oliver's angry voice. "Out of the way, trash." Even Olivia, usually quiet, spoke up. "Yeah, if Chloe is hurt, you can't be our mom anymore." Ava's ears rang, the sound of the closing door barely audible. The dizziness intensified, her vision blurring. She tried to get up, but couldn't, falling again, her head hitting the doorframe. Warm liquid trickled down her cheek as she lost consciousness. She woke to a bang. Something had exploded. Waves of heat rolled from the kitchen. Fire. She blinked, her vision slowly focusing on the flames spreading into the living room. Her parents, John and Mary, emerged from the fire, their eyes full of worry. "Ava, don't come for us. Live a good life. We don't blame you." Tears streamed down Ava's face. Then darkness. She woke up in the hospital, Jessica sitting beside her. Seeing Ava's eyes open, Jessica sighed in relief. "Oh my God. You're finally awake." Ava moved, a cry of pain escaping her lips as she collapsed back onto the bed. Jessica helped her up, chattering, "You're still injured. You've been asleep for 2 days. If the doctor hadn't said your vitals were stable, I would have thought." She stopped abruptly, spitting twice. "My bad mouth. Why would I say such unlucky things?" She settled Ava in and handed her water. Ava's heart ached. Ethan had never cared for her like this. Even her friend was more attentive. Taking a shaky breath, she felt a searing pain in her throat. "Jessica, thank you for saving me." She remembered watching the flames approach. Then nothing. Jessica waved her hand dismissively. "I didn't save you. Your neighbors smelled the smoke and called the fire department. The police couldn't reach your husband, so they contacted the next person on your emergency contact list. You know what you looked like when I got to the hospital? Covered in soot, blood all over your face. I thought you were gone. You need to thank your neighbors. You're alive because of them. If they hadn't found you in time, the fire would have spread." Ava smiled weakly, then remembered what had happened before the fire, falling silent. Jessica clapped her hands in front of Ava's face. "Don't think about it. Focus on getting better. As for those horrible people, we'll deal with them later." Fearing lasting damage, Jessica spoke at length with the doctor before taking Ava for a checkup. Returning to the ward, they found 3 people inside. "That gold digger tricked us into coming here, didn't she? Lazy all day, pretending to be pitiful. So annoying. I want to go see Chloe. It's all her fault Chloe got hurt." Ethan and the twins turned, seeing Ava and Jessica at the door. Their expressions of mockery and annoyance faltered at the sight of Ava in a wheelchair. Ethan cleared his throat awkwardly. "You're really injured, huh?" Olivia and Oliver whispered to each other. "Is she faking it? Doesn't look like it." Before Ava could speak, Jessica scoffed. "Ava hasn't been home for 2 days, and neither have you? Do you even know your house burned down? The kids are ignorant, but are you adults that clueless as well? She pointed to the information board at the foot of the bed. If you cared even a little, you would have looked at her chart or asked the doctor and known what happened to her. Ethan's face darkened. He hesitated, then noticed Ava's shaved head, his face twisting in disgust. Why is your hair so short? You look awful. Olivia and Oliver wrinkled their noses in disgust. Freak. Because they disliked short hair. Ava had never dared to cut hers short. Even now they weren't concerned about her, only her appearance. Because I like it. It was the first time she had asserted her own preference so firmly. Ethan raised his voice in disbelief. Ava, you've got guts talking to me like that. Grow it back. Or else. Jessica stepped in front of Ava, sneering. Need I remind you? This is a hospital. Because of you. Ava had an allergic reaction to the anesthetic and almost died in the fire. If she hadn't been found, the consequences would have been unthinkable. Where were you then? And now you come here throwing your weight around complaining about this and that. Aren't you ashamed? Ethan frowned. Who are you? How dare you yell at me? He turned to Ava. Are you just going to let her talk to me like this? Ava looked at him calmly. Jessica is my friend. What she said is what I want to say to you. I want a divorce. Ethan studied her face, finally realizing she wasn't joking. His expression hardened. Olivia and Oliver, however, were delighted, hugging each other and cheering. Yay! Awesome! Dad! Agree. Then you can marry Chloe and she can be our mom. I don't want to see that ugly freak anymore. Ethan stared at Ava for a long moment, then sneered. Ava, you finally found an excuse to throw a tantrum, haven't you? If you hadn't hurt Chloe, would we have left you at home? Besides, you fell and hit your head yourself. What did we do wrong? Ava laughed in disbelief. Chloe stabbed me with anesthetic, which made me dizzy and caused me to push her away. She was at fault first. I filed a police report and preserved the evidence. Also, I barely pushed her. I don't know why she fell so dramatically. If she's really injured, she can also call the police. Ethan snapped. Aren't you overreacting? Chloe is always kind and gentle. She would never intentionally hurt you. And what anesthetic are you talking about? Is that something ordinary people can just get their hands on? You're just jealous, so you're trying to frame her. Ruin her reputation. Just you wait, I won't tolerate this. I'll help Chloe clear her name, we'll see what you do then. He snorted and turned to leave, kicking Ava's wheelchair as he passed. If Jessica hadn't been holding it, Ava would have fallen. Olivia and Oliver followed, but surprisingly didn't lash out at Ava. They nudged each other, their gazes shifting, muttering blame. It's all your fault. You did it too. During her hospitalization, Ethan and the children didn't visit. Jessica told Ava that Ethan had hired a renowned lawyer for Chloe. Ava sighed, completely disillusioned with him. A week later, Ethan unexpectedly called. His voice was filled with fury. Ava, are you crazy? You're making such a big fuss over such a small thing. Chloe just got arrested, are you happy now? Attempted murder? I think you're delusional. He spoke rapidly and hung up before Ava could respond. The lab reports and the lawyer's evidence had already been submitted to the police. If the investigation hadn't yielded results, why would Chloe be arrested? Yet, Ethan stubbornly chose to believe her. Ava couldn't remember what she had ever loved about him. The lawyer informed Ava that during witness questioning, Ethan insisted Chloe was innocent. He claimed Chloe was always helpful at work, incapable of doing anything illegal. He was there that day and didn't see Chloe hurt Ava. Instead, he saw Ava push Chloe down. The fire had destroyed the crime scene, making it difficult to find evidence. Due to insufficient evidence, Chloe was released within a day. Ethan called again, his voice triumphant. Ava, I told you I wouldn't let you frame Chloe. I'll help her sue you for defamation, just you wait. Ava was stunned. Whose husband was he? He was siding with an outsider against her? How ridiculous. The day after her discharge, Ava and Chloe sat in court. Ethan testified, claiming Ava defamed Chloe. As soon as he finished, Olivia and Oliver spoke up. That's not true. Mom wasn't lying. Ava stared at her children in surprise. They nudged each other, finally speaking. Chloe said Mom didn't want to take care of us, That's why she went back home. She told us to throw dumplings at Mom to vent our anger. She said she had a way to make Mom disappear forever, so she wouldn't boss us around anymore. She said when she became our mom, we could eat all the ice cream we wanted. But kids can't lie, Dad, Mom, and our teachers all say so. We're not bad kids who lie. Ava fell silent. She restricted their snacks because of their health, not out of malice. She hadn't realized they resented her for it. Chloe panicked, looking at Ethan. He frowned, staring at the children in disbelief, completely ignoring Chloe. She feigned innocence, hinting, "Kids, I never said those things. Did your mom tell you something? Your dad and I are just colleagues, good friends at most. I never wanted to be your mom. You're good, honest children. You shouldn't be manipulated like this." Chloe's lawyer used the children's young age to dismiss their testimony. Olivia and Oliver were dumbfounded. Oliver tried to rush forward, furious. "You're the bad one. You liar." Olivia burst into tears. "You said you'd make Mom die. You said it. It was you." The court recessed due to the outburst. Chloe's triumph was short-lived. The police, following her connections, found the person who provided the anesthetic. He was a medical intern, and Chloe had promised to be his girlfriend in exchange for the drugs. With solid evidence, Jessica, as the prosecutor, filed charges. Chloe was sentenced to 12 years for attempted murder. Before the compensation was paid, Ethan came to Ava with the children. His face held a rare trace of guilt. "Ava, I didn't know Chloe would do something like this. I swear there was nothing between us. She's young, struggling alone in a new city, so I looked out for her. But we never crossed any lines." Ava chuckled. "Ethan, do you even believe yourself? Nothing between you? You washed her underwear, bought her a car? Have you ever treated me like that in all these years? What you did or didn't do with her doesn't matter anymore. Because I don't care." Ethan pulled the children forward. "You don't care about me, but you care about the children, right? They're only 6, how can you abandon them?" Olivia and Oliver clung to Ava's legs, crying, "Mommy, don't leave." Looking down at them, Ava felt a pang of sadness. They hadn't called her Mommy, or been this close to her in a long time. She had asked them why, and what was their response then? "Dad said you're lazy and only care about yourself. We don't want to talk to you. We're embarrassed to have a mom like you." She had tried explaining, tried reasoning with them, but their deeply ingrained beliefs were unshakable. That day, as she lay dizzy on the floor, they had kicked and hit her without hesitation. She was long past disappointed in them. Perhaps some children were just like that, no matter how you raised them, inherently bad and selfish. She pushed the children away and walked on, only to be pulled back by Ethan, his face panicked. "I know I've been busy with work and neglected you, but you volunteered to quit your job and take care of the kids. I work so hard, can't you understand? And your parents. I admit I haven't paid them enough attention. I'll call them more, send them money, maybe visit during the holidays, even stay at their house sometimes." His condescending tone made Ava sneer inwardly. Ethan, raised in privilege, had always looked down on her rural upbringing, complaining about their old house, their worn dishes, their uncomfortable bedding. Even on the rare occasions he visited, he refused to stay overnight. Even after her parents renovated and bought new bedding and tableware, he remained dissatisfied. After their marriage, he hadn't returned even once, and he wouldn't let her go either. "Every time you go back to your hometown, you come back like a bumpkin. And this food you bring back, who would eat this stuff?" He'd complain, yet devour the free-range chicken and cured meats she cooked, oblivious to her parents' love and care. Ava sneered, "You won't have the chance to go back. You hired a lawyer for Chloe to investigate me, yet you didn't find out my parents died before the new year? Because you cut me off from the outside world, they worried and came to find me. They died in a car accident. Do you know how many calls they made to me those days? My parents wanted to speak to me one last time before they died, but because of you they couldn't." Ava glared at Ethan, unable to contain herself any longer, and slapped him. It was the first time she had ever hit him. He stared at her in disbelief, too ashamed to retaliate. This time she finally walked away. She had her lawyer deliver the divorce papers to Ethan's company, but he didn't sign them. Jessica worried. Is he planning something? Just then Ethan called. His tone was no longer commanding, but almost pleading. Ava, I pulled some strings and had someone teach Chloe a lesson inside. Are you happy now? Ava replied calmly. It's not just about Chloe, Ethan. She was just the catalyst. During her years as a housewife, his most frequent words to her were, You don't work, you stay home all day just taking care of the kids, how hard can it be? Stop being so dramatic. He lacked empathy and only knew how to take. She ended the call and blocked his number. Soon after, he sent her a voice message from Oliver's smartwatch. The twins had caught a cold, which led to diarrhea. He had taken them to the hospital multiple times. As soon as the cold subsided, they developed tonsillitis. The phone was filled with their cries of pain. Ethan was almost sobbing. Ava, are you really this heartless? They both have fevers, I can't handle them alone. I don't understand these medications. I'm afraid I'll give them the wrong dosage. After his rant, Ava calmly typed, Oh, silence. He should be familiar with this scenario. When the twins were 2, they had contracted the flu. Because of their weak constitutions, they not only vomited and had diarrhea, but also suffered from severe headaches, rolling on the floor in agony. Ava had taken them to the hospital alone during a blizzard, getting stuck in traffic. She called Ethan. He didn't answer, eventually sending a cold text. What? Spit it out. Ava had abandoned her car and carried the children to the hospital. The doctor said if she had been any later, they might have had seizures. Ava sent Ethan her detailed records of how she had handled their past illnesses and blocked both children's numbers. She filed for divorce and returned to Lakeside. She found a new job. Her former boss, who had always valued her, had been inviting her to join his startup. She had declined due to family obligations. Now she joined as a department head. Her salary doubled what it used to be. Within months, she secured several major contracts for the company. Her colleagues respected her. Clients admired her. She finally found her worth again. A year later, back in the city for the divorce proceedings, Ava was awarded custody of the children and received a substantial settlement. Leaving the courthouse, Ethan stopped her. He looked exhausted, a shadow of his former self. Ava, I'm sorry. I didn't understand how hard it was for you. I haven't been able to keep a nanny for more than a few weeks. They all say that this age is easier than when they were younger, but now I see, you went through so much more than I realized. Ava ignored his repentance, simply watching him. When he finished, she nodded politely and turned to leave. Ethan burst into tears behind her, repeating, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. With everything finalized, Ava boarded the high-speed train back to Lakeside, her heart light. This time she was truly severing all ties with the city. Back in Lakeside, she observed her sister's restaurant from afar. She had visited often over the past year, but never dared to approach, fearing Sarah's anger. As she turned to leave, a familiar voice called out, Ava, are you planning on avoiding me forever? Sarah stood at the restaurant entrance, a broom in hand, her face furious. Seeing Ava freeze, she marched towards her, swatting her leg with the broom. You silly child. You really thought I meant it when I said you shouldn't come back? I was angry. How could you take it seriously? Her voice broke, tears welling in her eyes. Ava rushed forward and hugged her. I'm sorry, Sarah. Learning what Ava had endured, Sarah hit her again. You were being bullied and you didn't tell us? Are you stupid? Despite the scolding, Ava felt the warmth of her sister's concern. It was a feeling she had missed dearly. Ava invested her savings and opened a second restaurant with Sarah. Sarah had inherited their mother's talent for cooking their regional cuisine. Within 3 years, they opened a third location, registering their own brand. As they prepared to open their fourth branch, Jessica called. Ethan has cancer, late stage. He wants to see you. Ava didn't go, but she unblocked his number and sent a text. I wish you a speedy recovery. The next time she heard about him, it was a month after his death. They said he died clutching a photo of their family of 4. The following day, Olivia and Oliver arrived at Ava's apartment, their eyes red and swollen. Ava took them in and cooked them a meal. They ate and cried, finishing every last bite. Reluctantly, they were taken back by Ethan's parents. Over the years, the twins would call occasionally, updating Ava on their studies and sharing snippets of their lives. Ava responded with a measured distance. She gave them carefully chosen graduation gifts. They hugged her and apologized profusely. She sent a congratulatory message and a wedding gift for Oliver's wedding, which she missed due to a business trip abroad. Olivia called before her wedding, wanting Ava to witness her start her own family. Ava accepted, attending the wedding with a gift. Olivia wept throughout the ceremony, apologizing again for her past behavior. Now that I'm a wife and a mother myself, I understand. I want to be like you, Mom, a kind and loving person. After the wedding, Oliver drove Ava to the airport with his own child. Mom, I've always felt guilty about how I treated you. Especially now that I have my own child. I understand how hard it must have been for you to raise us alone. Ava waved her hand, smiling at him. She had long forgiven them. As she got off the plane, both Olivia and Oliver messaged, asking if she had arrived safely. Before she could reply, a small figure rushed into her arms. Mommy, you can't walk and look at your phone. It's dangerous. Ava hugged her granddaughter, smiling softly, and looked at her husband walking towards them. Life at last was complete.